Great. Well, I want to welcome everybody to our webinar for today. Basically, it's about building your complete compensation package. So as a childcare business owner, creating a complete compensation package that includes both competitive wages and meaningful benefits is really essential for attracting and retaining that good quality staff. Fair compensation goes beyond just hourly wages or salary. What it does is it encompasses the total value employees receive, including benefits like health insurance, paid time off, and then other professional development opportunities. So to determine competitive wages, you can use salary benchmarking. And there's a simple and free method that compares your pay rates to similar positions in the local market. But when you're looking at selecting benefits, you want to consider what matters most to your team, what fits within your budget, and you want to remember that even the small benefits can significantly impact job satisfaction and retention. So, thoughtful building of your compensation package creates a workplace where employees feel valued, they feel motivated, and then that could lead to less turnover. It'll also lead to a higher quality care and then ultimately a more successful and sustainable childcare business. Okay, I do have to read our disclaimer before we get started. The information contained here has been prepared by Civitas Strategies and is not intended to constitute legal, tax, or financial advice. The Civitas Strategies team has used reasonable efforts in collecting, preparing, and providing this information, but does not guarantee its accuracy, completeness, adequacy, or currency. The publication and distribution of this information are not intended to create, and receipt does not constitute an attorney-client or any other advisory relationship. Reproduction of this information and recording of this content, including the use of AI, are expressly prohibited. Only non-commercial uses of this work are permitted. All right, let's get into this. As a childcare business owner, understanding fair compensation is crucial for the long-term success and quality of your business. Fair compensation encompasses both wages, which is the money paid for work based on hourly rates or salary, and additional benefits like personal time off or health insurance. When employees feel fairly compensated, they are more likely to be satisfied, dedicated, and productive, leading to a more positive environment and higher quality of services. So this investment in fair pay reduces turnover rates. It's going to attract the top talent. Oop, okay. Um, and encourage skill development in current employees. So to determine what constitutes fair compensation, we'll explore salary benchmarking, a simple and free method to ensure your wages are competitive, while also discussing examples of benefits that you can offer and common mistakes to avoid when you're establishing those compensation packages. So if you're experiencing high turnover and shortages, you're not alone. So childcare has some of the highest turnover rates in education. Right now, we're seeing about 160,000 openings for childcare workers each year, and that's largely driven by turnover. And the majority of the centers reporting staffing shortages, right? It's all there. So that means that many programs are operating below capacity, they're losing revenue, and they're turning families away. So, not because demand isn't there, but because staffing isn't stable. And so, the encouraging news is that we do know what helps. So, while wages matter, turnover isn't just about the pay, it's about the full compensation picture. Things like benefits, paid time off, and overall support all play a role in where staff are deciding whether to stay or to leave. Okay, so the goal isn't to find one perfect or expensive benefit. It's about building a thoughtful approach that shows your staff that they're valued. Okay, how do you determine fair compensation for an open position? Salary benchmarking is an effective way of determining what fair compensation looks like for an open position that you're looking to fill. Though this method, through this method, you'll gather data from similar positions with other organizations and compare the offered wages and compensation to determine what fair compensation looks like for your industry and area. So this method is easy for you to do on your own if you're using the following steps, right? I'm trying to make it a little bit easier. One, you want to clarify the job and the job pool. Okay. You want to identify similar organizations. Um, that could be a difference even between like if you're doing for-profit childcare and say like Head Start, right? There's a difference there. So you want to make sure that when you're looking and comparing that it's something similar to your type of business. Um, Collecting data, that's all information you're finding out, right? And then like any data you collect, you want to analyze it. It's important to clearly define the position you are hiring for. So both you and potential candidates can understand exactly what you're looking for in the role. You want to determine and note the specifics that you need, including your hours worked, the job title, the tasks, all of that stuff. So in addition, decide what you're looking for in an applicant. What kind of background, experience, skills do you want your new employee to have? Okay. Next, you want to determine the pool that you're going to be hiring from. Okay. This includes the location, education, and stage of career your ideal candidate will have. If you think about it, sometimes in childcare, we want a warm body, right? That's not going to be helpful, right? But we can go to like colleges, right? And if they're just starting out, that might be someone that we can use because they're going to learn how to do things the way we need them to do. Are you looking for a local early career applicant? Are you going to be offering incentives for an experienced director to move to your area? Right? So what do you need and how are you going to get them there? It's really important to define both the job and the pool in detail so that you really have clear guidelines when determining what fair compensation will look like for that role. Okay, next, identify around this sounds a lot, right? But identify between 15 and 40 organizations that are similar to yours. Okay? Start with businesses that are already known to you, like your competitors and other childcare businesses in and around your area. Then what you'll do is you'll utilize their resources to find even more. Use the internet to search for other organizations that are both local and non-local that provide similar services to yours. So do the families you serve know of other childcare businesses from their own networks? Okay, that's a question you can ask yourself. So look for businesses that advertise and hire for roles that have similar requirements and job functions to what you've defined. When you make the list, it's important to find organizations that are most alike to yours. If you're operating a large childcare center with multiple classrooms, your business services employees roles are likely not going to be comparable to that of like a childcare home because that's based out of the business owner's house. So you want to make sure that all of that matches. From the list of organizations that you've identified, then search for job listings and hiring ads that are available. It's really good to find descriptions and circumstances like the role that you're hiring for. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes it's already there. You just kind of have to see what you're looking for. You want to look at the pay and benefits that these businesses are advertising and pay attention to experience, education, and other requirements that are asked for. So all of these attributes have an impact on the amount of compensation offered. Also, you can check salary sites for more insight on the compensation after or offered. Record the wages and the compensation offered for each listing you can find. Sometimes you won't see that listing, and a lot of times this is where it kind of when I'm putting out a position or if I've had to put out for positions, sometimes we won't post the salaries because we already know that it's not going to be attractive, right? So be mindful of that. If you want to attract good employees, then don't be afraid to post what you're willing to offer. All right. So now you should have a long list of similar organizations to yours. and wages and compensation that you're going to offer. List the salaries you've collected. You're going to put them from the lowest to the highest. And then usually these will fall within a similar range. Okay. You want to ignore any outliers. Okay. Um, those are going to be salaries that are much higher or lower than the others. Okay. So if you see that one that's like way off, like that was just push that one out. That one's out of the pool. Okay. Um, so you want to make sure that it's within that range. Now, look at the numbers you have. Where does the salary that you plan to offer fall within the others? Ideally, to be offering a competitive pay, you want to fall in within the upper 50% of the salaries you've arranged. Okay? So think of whatever your minimum wage is to, that you're willing to offer and the most that you can pay within your budget, right? And so as you start to score those out, your salary rate wants to be within the top half of those. Okay? Be sure to consider total compensation as well. You have to consider how much PTO are these businesses offering? What does their healthcare and retirement plans look like? Remember that offering fair and competitive compensation attracts and keeps dedicated employees. So if you find that your offered compensation falls low on the scale, then it's worth considering paying the employee more and or offering more benefits. As you determine fair compensation and set up benefits for your employees, it's important to be aware of some commonly made mistakes so that your childcare business can continue to grow and thrive. Okay. What we want to do or what we don't want to do is ignore market research. Don't ignore your own research that you took the time to gather. If you complete your salary benchmark data and offer rates less than what your research tells you to, you're likely to be passed over by prospective employees in favor of other businesses who offer more compensation. Okay. Don't disregard legal compliance. When determining wages and compensation, be aware of the legal obligations you have to fulfill around minimum wage, employee classification, and overtime pay. You're looking at, trying to offer a little bit less than minimum wage, or saying an employee is a full-time employee when you know that they're only going to work part-time hours, or you hire a part-time employee and make them work full-time hours. Okay, so you've got to be careful of that. And then marking whether or not overtime pay will be allowable. That's really big. Ignoring employee input. Okay. Be sure to listen to employee feedback regarding compensation and the workplace culture. Are many of your employees not happy with their pay? Have they expressed a desire for more PTO? It is important to listen to employees to maintain a happy and productive environment. Okay. You also want to be careful that you not consider benefits beyond salary. So it's really important to consider benefits alongside the wages. As fair compensation is made up of both money and other rewards, you want to think about that. Offering desired benefits makes you a more attractive employer that top candidates will want to work for. Especially like right now, thinking about how much insurance is, I'm one of them. Okay. Insurance, private insurance, is out of control. Gone. Last year, $250. Now it's up to $850. And I'm like, who can pay that, right? So as an employer, if you have a plan that will help ease that, that's a real attractive benefit that employees will look for. Okay. Not offering benefits that your competitors do, that means that your job listing is likely to get passed over. Okay. Because they're going to go to the one that has what they really need. Okay. So keep that in mind. Okay. Now that we've covered how to determine fair and competitive wages, let's talk about the other half of your compensation strategies, which is the benefits. Okay. Think of wages as your foundation. Okay. They get people in the door. But benefits, what about those, right? Benefits are what convince the great staff to stay and build their careers with you. The good news is that benefits don't have to be too expensive to be meaningful. Sometimes the most valued benefits are the ones that cost you very little, but show your staff that you see them as whole people, not just employees. Okay, so let's explore what benefits you could realistically offer and how they can transform your workplace culture. Now more than ever, you may be thinking about the culture of your workplace and ways to reward and invest in your staff and attract qualified staff to your program. Benefits can be a vessel to do that in a tight job market. So while benefits come with a cost, failing to offer them could also have financial consequences for your business through the loss of loyal staff, the inability to recruit employees, and staffing your program. And then just the impact of unsatisfied employees. So in this work, you know how critical it is to attract and keep skilled staff members. Um, so the bottom line is that benefits are important. Um, and childcare businesses should aim to incorporate them whenever possible. You should be an informed consumer as you research your options and then understand what's available and what questions you should be asking. We're going to look at those. Okay, so what are some common benefits? Depending on your company size and whether individual employees meet certain requirements, there may be some benefits that are legally required of you, such as workers' compensation, the Family and Medical Leave Act or FMLA, and even medical insurance. So there are also other benefits that are not required but are common amongst employers and they're a critical decision-making factor when choosing the place of work. So let's look at those. Okay, remember offering benefits in addition to wages will make you a more competitive employer. Investing in the health and well-being of your employers through multiple benefits is an investment in the success and quality of your business. So it's important to offer common benefits like personal time off, overtime pay, health care, and retirement. Our guide on how to offer benefits will be useful to you as you learn more about setting up these benefits for your employees. So to stand out as an employer, also consider additional perks that you can offer to your employees. As a childcare business, think about offering a discount for employees' children, right? So if they can bring their children, they'll want to stay, right? Because they have somewhere to have them. Find find and assist with professional development opportunities for your staff, like providing training classes and certifications. And then maybe you can offer a health and wellness stipend to help with gym and fitness membership costs. Think of unique and helpful ways to support your staff. All right, let's talk about some common benefits. Paid time off or PTO. Um, it's one of the most common benefits and is widely appreciated among staff. This can include holidays, vacation and sick days. Having the opportunity to access PTO can improve staff's overall well-being, which can reduce stress and burnout, especially in a job as demanding as childcare. Um, there's no hard and fast rule on how many PTO days should be offered, and the amount of time offered can gradually increase with one more time on the job. And I will say this as far as PTO, because I know as a director, it puts a lot of strain on us when one person is out, right? If one person is out sick, we've got to rearrange the children, we've got to make sure, and that puts a load on the other staff, right? So there's some tricks that I would say, when offering PTO, not offering PTO or not letting them take off on Mondays and Fridays because that's the biggest days for people call in. But also just having the understanding, right? When people really are stressing out, that when it's a PTO, not to get worked up ourselves as directors, right? It just happens. So we want to make sure that we understand that it's a stressful industry. So we want to make sure that our people are good so they don't take it out on the kids, right? Okay. Health insurance is usually one of the first things that comes to mind when someone thinks of the term benefits, and it's highly sought after by employees and job candidates. So, as such, if there is any one benefit worth offering to employees, health insurance is the one to consider. In addition to medical coverage, this benefit can include dental, vision, and prescription coverage. Options within this offering range from full insurance to telehealth to discount programs. Typically, you would find a benefits provider and offer your employees certain benefits from that provider. So you could cover a portion of the cost, and the employee would pay a set amount per pay period toward the cost of their plan. Alternatively, other option is to simply coordinate the health plan coverage for your staff, offering coverage without financially contributing to an employee's elected coverage. So there's some options there with you for you. Okay. Either help them pay it or let them pay it, but just organize it, set it up for them. Blue Cross Blue Shield and Aetna are two private insurance companies that were frequently named by childcare providers across various states. And when asked what companies they used, okay, small businesses can also help their staff sign up for the Affordable Care Act. And then the ACA is a comprehensive healthcare reform law that provides affordable insurance for individuals. Of course, it's in some struggles right now, but this that having that law addresses health insurance coverage, healthcare costs, and preventative care. So health insurance premiums continue to I wouldn't say decrease, but they're working on it. And the thing is that it's based on family size and income, right? So that's the good part. All right. Retirement plans. Nobody wants to think about those, right? Nobody thinks about retirement when they're 20, but they should. This is a time to really start getting your staff to think about those things, okay? And helping them do that could be a really good benefit. Retirement plans allow employees to build financial savings to help them meet their personal long-term financial goals. You know, while employees who opt in need to contribute their desired amount of salary per pay period, the benefits that are provided by these plans are individual tax savings, and they have the ability to receive a set amount or a match to their contribution from you as their employer. So this is going to allow their contributions to grow faster, setting them up for a higher earning during their retirement. Sometimes you can also offer supplemental insurance programs, and those include coverage such as short or long-term disability, accidental, and other plans to cover unexpected critical health events. Maybe you can put in an employee assistance program. Um, that's another example of supplemental insurance, which could include employees having access to programs that provide mental health and other well-being supports. And these are just typically more affordable than offering medical insurance, but they don't replace it. So keep that in mind. All right. I'm talking about staff professional development. That is also an integral part of the childcare business model. Not only are there requirements around staffing trainings, right? We have to have so many training hours per year in this industry, right? But to have a little bit above and beyond that, it can be beneficial too. The more knowledge your staff have in child development, the better experience that they'll have and will be for the children in your care. So a lot of providers find that they can provide these benefits for staff through participating in programs such as Teach, right? Um, and as a Teach Early Childhood Scholarship Program. So I know we use it a lot here, and it's just basically assistance for extra um, professional development that teachers are looking for. You can also offer discounted childcare to your staff's own children. That's a great benefit that most childcare programs find easy to implement. Not only will this benefit give staff peace of mind knowing that they have their children there with them, but can also help them find to afford the expense of childcare, which otherwise would be a larger line item in their personal budget. Okay. Um, The ability to receive bonuses is a benefit that many employees value, especially during these times as staff have had to work harder, longer hours, and under challenging circumstances. So there's an opportunity to reward hardworking employees for the additional effort through temporary or annual bonuses that you can offer. And that could be, it doesn't have to be a lot. I've seen bonus offerings from like $50 to more, And it's just a one-time thing that you do at the annual just to show that the staff are appreciated. And it could come like at Christmas time when they really need the money for gifts and stuff like that, right? So that's one that we talk about, which is a fun one to give when they hear, hey, you're getting a bonus, and any just prepare them that any amount is a good amount, right? Okay, so you're ready. You're ready to offer some benefits. Now what? Okay, first, you really need to decide what benefits you would like to offer. Consider your organization's budget and goals as well as your employees' needs. Then think through the types of benefit providers um, that will help you make it a reality. Okay, so here's some benefit providers that you may come across. Okay, private insurance providers are what we typically think of when we think of traditional insurance providers like Blue Cross Blue Shield or Aetna. The most common type is a group plan purchased by the employer that covers employees and possibly their family members. Okay, these plans may cost less than an individual seeking their own plan. However, they could still have a price tag that may be too costly for the average childcare provider's budget. So you can set how much of the cost you would cover versus the employee. And then you can buy these plans directly from an insurance provider or a broker or your state's health insurance exchange. Okay. Outside of offering company sponsored health insurance, you can still support your employees on an individual basis in accessing low cost or free health insurance through the Affordable Care Act marketplace. You can help ensure that employees are aware of what they may qualify for and facilitate a connection for them to work with the free healthcare navigator. And when they use a navigator, they can walk them through some of the options. All right. Existing payroll companies and online services. These are also some really good beneficial items to work with or services to work with. Those are like Gusto, Paychecks, Zenefits, and others. They can be helpful. So employers may be able to purchase group insurance and supplemental plans through their payroll provider. And these providers can act as a broker, streamlining the process and helping you find plans that benefit your needs. Okay, professional employer organizations or PEOs, those offer a way to outsource the human resources function of your business, and they can cover things like payroll, employee handbooks, and benefits. PEOs serve as professional employers of their clients' employees. PEOs allow for small businesses to offer benefits that are usually associated with larger companies, um, as they're able to leverage their large network of employees to offer more affordable rates for insurance and benefits. A shared services network or other platforms collaboration, such as Chamber of Commerce, that's one that you can work with. By participating in these networks, you can receive discounts on certain benefits through companies that partner with the network. They have medical, telehealth, dental, and vision that you can use. You could also have access to money and time saving services like insurance brokers, enrollment specialists to guide you through the process of setting up a benefits plan. And typically, membership fees to join these networks are low to no cost. Okay, how do you determine what you can afford? Some benefits can be offered at little to no cost. Remember, there may be invisible costs that offering benefits can actually help mitigate. Costs associated with employee turnover, such as recruiting, interviewing, training, and onboarding, and then vacancies in classrooms can be potentially offset by offering those benefits. So, talk with a childcare business coach, one of us. You could always ask to sign up for one-on-one coaching. And then we can talk about how much employee turnover is costing your business and how to explore planning your budget and cash flow so that you can begin to offer those benefits. I'm the one that likes to talk about, If you know me, if you've been in my sessions, you know I love to talk about budget and cash flow, building your reserves so that you can do stuff like this. Okay. So if you want some extra help on how to do that, talk to a one-on-one coach. You can always ask any coaches now, or you can let us know that you would like to be signed up. Um, and then they'll help you look at these key considerations for health insurance, tax credits. If it is tax credits, we have coaches that specialize in that as well. So definitely want to take advantage of that if you can. Okay. We do have some caveats, right? So before you choose any benefits, you need to do your homework with your numbers. So first, you want to evaluate your monthly budget, right? Look at your current revenue versus expenses to see what's left over. Then you can examine your cash flow forecast to understand what you have surplus months versus tighter periods. Again, this is my good stuff. I love this stuff because this is going to help you determine how much available profit you realistically have for benefits. Remember, even small amounts can make a big difference. A $25 monthly contribution shows employees that you value them. But here's the critical part. Make sure that whatever benefits you offer are sustainable long term. Okay. So you want to ask yourself some tough questions. Can I afford this benefit in both good months and challenging months? Will this still be manageable if I lose a client or have unexpected expenses? And it's better to start when you with smaller, sustainable benefits that you can maintain, and be consistent with them as you start to offer more generous benefits, instead of having to cut those out later. Okay. So your employees need to trust that the benefits you promise are going to be there reliably. All right. Considering the health insurance, now know that offerings are incredibly varied. Costs are based on the number of employees covered, location, ages of employees, and their dependents, and what percentage of the health insurance premium you would like to cover. Okay, you can choose no or low cost options, which means you arrange a group insurance plan for your staff without paying any premiums. And this places 100% of the plan cost upon the employee. At a higher cost option, that would cover a portion of the insurance premium for your employees. Typically, this portion begins at 50%. So this places the remaining portion of the plan cost on the employee. Employees can add family members to their plan, but that's going to be at their own expense. At the highest cost option is for you, the employer, to cover a portion of the insurance premium, for the employee plus dependents, which is typically a spouse or their children. Okay? Small businesses can benefit from tax credits that will reimburse you for half of your contributions toward your employees' premiums as long as you cover at least 50% or more per employee. There are other guidelines that you have to meet, which is most cases a typical small to mid-sized childcare business. That's who would most likely do that. So let me give you an example. If an employee's monthly premium is $235 and you pay 50% of that, you would be eligible for a tax credit of $58.75. Even though the annual cost to you is $1,410 for this employee's benefit, you would receive back $705 when you file your tax return. Okay, so that's about half. To learn more about that tax savings opportunity, you can visit the Small Healthcare Tax Credit website. We're going to put a link in here for you in just a couple of slides that, if not right now, that you can use. So on the website that we're going to provide, they give an example of starting costs for healthcare provider insurances, um, plans. And then remember, these figures don't include dependents. So if you choose to cover dependents premiums as well, this cost will rise. And then just keep in mind that can be much greater than those outlined in the table based on circumstances and selections. And then just also the time of the year it is. Okay. Um, Small businesses that start up a retirement plan, these also can benefit from setting every community up for retirement enhancement, which is also called the Secure Act tax credit. Say that real fast 10 times. Okay, Secure Act tax credit. Okay, eligible employers may be able to claim a tax credit of up to $5,000 for 3 years for the setup. Sorry, my timer keeps switching over my slides. For 3 years for the setup and administrative fees associated with starting an SEP retirement plan, or a simple IRA or a 401k plan. You can learn more about those opportunities from the website that we're going to put in there. And so just be sure to talk with also, if you need to, a tax professional about tax credit opportunities. Again, we do have coaches that are very knowledgeable in this area. So if you'd like to sign up for a coach on that, let us know at the end and we'll put your name in there for coaching. Okay. All right. The Secure Act that I just mentioned makes offering retirement benefits much more affordable for small childcare businesses like yours. So if you're thinking about retirement plans and you think that they sound a little expensive and complicated, this tax credit can change that equation completely. When you start an SEP, simple IRA, or 401k plan for your employees, the government will essentially help pay for it through tax credits ranging from $500 to $5,000 annually for 3 consecutive years. So these credits cover both the initial setup costs and ongoing administrative fees that often deter small businesses from offering retirement benefits. So what makes this even better is that you can earn an additional $500 tax credit simply by including automatic enrollment in your plan, which actually helps your employees by making it easier for them to start saving. So this means the federal government is incentivizing you to provide a benefit that your staff will truly value and helping you afford it at the same time. Okay, so you can learn more by visiting the IRS website. And this is a link that we're going to put in the chat. Ms. Gladys is putting that in there. She's already done that. Thank you. Um, and so, yeah, it's an opportunity. I actually think this is really good, especially for employees that are just starting, because it helps them build to when I wish somebody would have told me this when I was younger, basically, right? Because it helps to get them started. All right. So once you've thought through the criteria that an employee must meet to be eligible for benefits that your program offers, next you may think about the cost, how the benefits will be administered, monitored, and tracked within your system. Okay. So you decide which benefits to offer. And as you do that, here's some questions to answer. Is this benefit affordable for the long term? What will be your return on your investment? Okay, what's the return on my investment? Does it fit the unique needs of my employees? Will they find value in it? If I want to increase staff retention, for example, will this benefit help? Okay, what are the total costs? Don't forget your fees and the time to administer the benefit. And then what are the pros and cons of offering the benefit and or selecting the benefit provider? Okay, so those are the questions you want to ask yourself. If you don't feel confident determining a fair wage or setting up benefits for your employees on your own, it's always best to reach out to a legal or financial expert who can best advise you, because they can help you and you can become certain that you're upholding your legal obligations and are offering the best wages and compensation for your unique circumstances. Additionally, if you've done your market research and feel as though you can't afford to pay your employees a fair wage and other compensation, then it may be time to revisit your budget and childcare rates. Okay. In this case, our guides on budgeting and setting rates may be useful to you. You can always reach out to me. I always throw that out there. All right. Again, many childcare providers recognize that offering comprehensive compensation packages including both competitive wages and staff benefits, that can really, really significantly improve their operations by boosting morale, decreasing your staff turnover, and investing in the longevity of the most important asset, which is your staff. Okay. Um, Thoughtful compensation and benefit strategies provide financial advantages to your business too. So those are the things you want to consider, especially the tax deductions, the credits, and then just time savings with administrative tasks, right? And then having to reduce your hiring and training costs. So once you've established your compensation and benefit structure, you want to document everything in your policies and procedures and make sure they're clearly updated. And while you're not required to offer certain benefits, you are legally required to follow the compensation and benefit um, policies that you have established. So we recommend reviewing and updating your compensation packets and benefit offering at least annually to ensure they continue meeting both your business needs and your employees' evolving expectations. Okay? So we are at that point to open up for questions. There may be some tax questions, I can tell you now, that I will not be able to answer because I am not the tax expert, but we will take your name and your and sign you up for coaching, and somebody can reach out to you for tax specific questions. Any other questions? Any thoughts on how to approach it, what to do, thoughts, anything? Let me know. I see your smile, Miss Bridget. Can you get a copy of the slides? What we do, Miss Gwendolyn, is we put the video out on the websites for DECAL, so they will be available there as well to go back. Any other questions? Thank you. I know you're just dying to know. Miss Melinda, how did you do it? It's a lot, right? And it's just there's Miss Bridget, you have a question. I see your hand up. You're more than welcome to come off mute.
I just wanted to make sure I honored since there's more than me on here.
No, no, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to get this training, to
Hmm.
hear some questions that others might have, and then see how Civitas can help us definitely as we look to move forward. But this could be a question that I need to ask for a coach. But
Hmm.
if you could talk a little more about like periods of time, like length of time that staff members best practice to be on the job before you offer different things, or is there like if you help with professional development for a CDA or something, would it be rude to put some type of thing in saying that they'd have to be on the job for a year or more after you've helped them secure the, like talk about that like a
Hmm.
tenure type thing as a benefit and not just you paying
Right.
it out and
You
walking,
know,
they're walking away.
You know what? No, that's a really good question. And Miss Emily, real quick, I do see your question in the chat, so don't think I'm ignoring you. But Miss Bridget, that's a really good question. It can range. Basically, I have been employed and have had staff that they had to be on the job for 60 days, 90 days before a benefit kicks in, right? You do want to make sure that they're going to stick around because you're going to do all of that head work, right? To get them enrolled, and then they're gone, right? So they're, we would call it probationary periods, right? These are probationary periods, and after 60 days, and sometimes even insurance policies require that they have to be in a place. So you can always look at that. The ultimate determination would be your, as a business owner, or as the leadership, what that would be when you do implement it. And that's also, you were mentioning the CDA credential, right? As far as like professional development, that's a big investment to do the credential, right? So the thing might say, I've had people and companies, organizations that have asked, we are going to pay for your credential, we'll pay for your certification, the class, and everything that goes with it. And we are requesting that you stay on with us for at least a year or 6 months. So those can be determined by year. They're not uncommon, that from what I have seen as benefits packages. Okay, so that's a good one. You're investing in your staff. So it's kind of like when we talked about the return on that investment. What am I getting back from you, right? So this great question, and that's very common to see those kinds of probationary periods or expectations after a benefit is provided.
And
Okay.
thank you so much
Um,
for that clarification. And make sure you put it in writing. Whatever it is, put it in writing at the beginning. Even
that's
when you're
right.
going through
Before
your
it,
orientation, yes, at the
yep,
beginning.
that is what we say all the time. We say this all the time. And it was in this presentation. Whatever you do, make sure you put it in writing that it's clear. So, and it doesn't just mean benefits, it's everything, right? Hours worked, wages, everything. Make sure it's clearly stated in your handbook for employees. Number of employees too big to count as a small business. I don't know that number, Miss Emily. But I can find out for you. I can actually have somebody that would know reach out to you. Miss Bridget, do you want me to go ahead and put you down for a coach as well to get some more questions?
Sure, go ahead. You can't go wrong with expert training. Thank you so much.
That's no good. Hey, and guess what else? It's free, right? It's free. That's the whole point. So if you guys want coaching, I'm telling you, if you want budget coaching, y'all need to get with me, okay? Because that's my thing. But I'm just saying, okay? But we can okay, Miss Emily's like, no, just I'll Google it. Okay. And I'm sorry, but we can always we'll find out. And oh, and let me just get through this really quick before we go, okay? These are the coaching topics that we offer. So it doesn't just have to be about benefits and wages, right? Anything you need help on, we offer individual coaching for these. Budget coaching. Okay, Miss, we'll get your name down. Miss Wenwan, I guess Miss Lee. We'll put you down. And then Miss Bridget. Miss Goddess, can you get those names down? So we'll put you in for coaching. Miss Bridget, I'm going to put you down for the compensations questions. So that'll be a different coach. But the budget, if you want me to do it, I will help you. Um, and then let me see, just make sure. Okay, so these are all the different coaching topics that we talk about. And then there might be some off topics, and we have had some like, I want to create a poster with Canva, but I don't know what this icon means. We'll help you. It's free. We will do that for you. Okay. Um, Also, don't forget these are specific to your state. These are the small study groups about maximizing your tax credits and revenue stacking in Georgia. Okay. And then here it is in Spanish as well. Okay. And then let me make sure I got it all. If you want to sign up for any of the small study groups, which we completely encourage you to do, these are extra stuff that are very helpful. You might see me in there, you might see Miss Gladys in there, but we have a really good bunch of coaches that can help you. And then also, here's a scan for Spanish. Okay. And there's one more thing that I do want to talk to y'all about, which is our next webinars that are coming up that can be helpful to you. Okay. So our next one is going to be managing enrollment, which is going to be May 5th. It's going to be in the evening, 7 p.m. Eastern. And then the next one after that is going to be Friday, May 22nd at 11:30, just like this one, Eastern, on a Friday. So look for our next webinars, which are May 5th and May 22nd. It's 5th, right? Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure. Again, here is in Spanish. Okay. And then here is the one for the coaching for taxes. We do this all year long. It doesn't have to be just tax season because we do want to prepare. We want to be ready so that we don't have to wait and then go crazy finding our receipts and getting our shoe boxes out and all of where we have all our file folders. If we start preparing in advance, it's going to be so much easier and you don't have to file for extensions and stuff like that if you're ahead of the game. Okay. How do I know about all of these things? I wonder. I'm a small business owner myself, so I get it. Um, so being prepared, that's what we're here for. This is what Civitas really wants to help you out with. Again, it's all free. take advantage of that. Okay. Um, this is a Spanish scan as well for those in Spanish. Do we have any more questions? I'm trying to see if there's any more questions. Miss Gwen, for budget coaching as well, put you down. And then here we go for just let us know how we did. Okay, let us know if this information was beneficial to you. So this is our feedback form. If you can do this for us as well. I'm going to give it a couple more seconds before I yes, Miss Brenda, you can Brianna, I'm sorry, Miss Brianna, definitely let us know. We can probably find it if we get your name. Thank you, Miss Bridget. It was very nice to have all of you guys. Let me give you one more QR code. A couple actually. This is for the Spanish version, and then check us out on YouTube. Okay. If you we have a whole bunch of expert videos there, Spanish, and then one last one. If you have any questions too, go to the Tom Copeland blog. We are the stewards of that. If there's a question, we can also answer that question there. Okay. Miss Evelyn would like budget coaching as well. Again, everybody, thank you so much for coming in. I was really nice to see some familiar faces, and I look forward to seeing you in other webinars.